Hello and welcome to today's video. This is going to be a really fun one. This is a tag. Once again, doing a tag video. I've been really enjoying these lately. But the difference with this one is it's only actually 3 months long. I feel like normally when I do tags they're like 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years old. And I'm like just coming around to doing them. This only came out on, I think it was like middle of March. Yeah, March 15th this tag was created. The original creators of this tag are Thoughts on Tomes and My Name is Marinez. And these two creators came together to create this tag, and this is the Get to Know My Taste tag. It consists of 15 questions which I'm going to go through and answer, so hopefully you enjoy. Let's just get straight into the questions. Question number 1. How do you rate books? Give a quick rundown of how you do your star ratings, or if you don't use star ratings, how you evaluate books. So I do use star ratings, that is how I rate books, and I've basically got like a mini little guide that I think I've got written down on the computer somewhere as well, but I've got it in the front of my reading journal. And I've got 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, and next to those I've got like what I should be feeling to give a book that rating. I do also use 0.5 stars, but I don't have anything written down for that. That is like, so if everything meets the 3 star criteria and it meets like 1 of the 4 star criteria, or it feels like it's close to meeting them, then I'd give it a 3.5. So it's kind of, you know, the star ratings are exact. If it meets this criteria, that's how it gets it, and if it feels kind of in between, then I'll go for a 0.5 star, and it is as simple as that. Question number 2. How do you approach reviewing books? What's your review style? Are you analytical, emotional, casual, or structured? Honestly, I don't know. I think out of those options, I guess I would probably choose emotional, but maybe it's a mixture of like emotional and casual. For me, when I'm reviewing, it's just vibes. Yeah, especially with written reviews. Obviously when I record on camera and I talk, I just really do think that's more emotional. Like I talk through how I remember the book making me feel, because I've normally read it about a month ago by the time it comes to review it. But when it comes to written reviews, some books might get 2 sentences, others could get like pages and pages and pages, and there's not really any reasoning as to why I pick one way or the other. It really is just vibes, how I'm feeling, how I feel like I want to review at that time or at the end of that book. So yeah, I guess a mixture of emotional and casual depending on the book. Question number 3. What is the book that made you a reader? Whether it was your first favourite or the one that got you hooked, what book started it all? I have a very long-winded answer for this, and honestly I think that's because I've gone through phases in my life, so I don't really know. Because when I was 16, 17, that sort of age, there was the Mortal Instrument books, there was Percy Jackson, and then the I Tell You I Love You But Then I'd Have to Kill You series was like a mystery series that was really popular. When I was that sort of age, it was like a teen spy series, and I would say between those 3, when I was like 16, 17, that is what I would have said, like these got me into reading, these are why I'm a reader, this is what makes me want to keep picking up books, is to feel these feelings again. However, then between the ages of 19 and 22, I don't think I even read 5 books. Like I really wasn't reading a lot. I really just lost it. I was just, you know, figuring out life, to be honest, and there was a lot of things going on and I just didn't read. Like, and honestly looking back I'm like, oh my gosh, like imagine if I was reading those ages, like things would have been so much better. But I didn't. It wasn't in my head and it wasn't something I was doing. So between 19 and 22, like I wouldn't have considered myself a reader, even though like technically in life I'd been a reader. Then at some point in 2019 I started having these really long bus journeys to get to work, and I would say between kind of like 2019, 2020, like whilst I was taking those really long bus journeys to get to work, I probably read about 20 books on those bus journeys, but I was literally only reading when I was on the bus, and none of those have stuck with me. Like I couldn't tell you anything about any of them, like they haven't stuck with me. So like, would I have called myself a reader at the time? I don't know. Looking back, I can't remember anything about any of them, so like I don't really class that time. Then we moved into this house in November 2020, and I think one of the first bookish videos I made here was like me sat here, like it wasn't this bookcase, it was a tiny little bookcase and it was so full, and that is when I really got back into reading again, and I would call myself a reader. So like kind of from November 2020 was when as an adult I called myself a reader, and as an adult I, you know, picked up the hobby again and really got into it. I was 24 at that point and I picked up Heartstopper, I picked up The Black Flamingo, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I also started to reread Of the Mortal Instruments, one of those series that had started it all back when I was a teenager. And from that point on I was pretty hooked. Like, those books together as an adult is what got me hooked, and honestly since then I don't think I've gone longer than a week without reading. So yeah, kind of like an amalgamation of all of that is what's made me a reader. I don't think there's one book that I could pick out. Obviously The Mortal Instruments were mentioned both times. The Mortal Instruments were teenage me reading, and also definitely helped me pick up the hobby again as an adult. So I guess they're kind of an answer, I guess. I really don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And I keep thinking about, like, Heartstopper was out when I was taking those buzz journeys. If I was reading Heartstopper when I was taking those long buzz journeys, would I, like, I assume there's no way that I would have read that and not remembered it and not had it being like a big thing in my life. So like, would my reading habit and would considering myself a reader as an adult have started even earlier? I don't know. I really don't know. Genuinely couldn't tell you a particular book, but I think that's a very long way of answering this question. Question number 4, do you have a genre niche? Are there certain genres you gravitate towards, or do you read widely across genres? I love fantasy. I would say fantasy is like the genre that if I could only read one genre for the rest of my life, I would pick fantasy. It's well rounded. I don't think I get bored of it. There's like so much that I enjoy reading, and it's definitely where I find the majority of my 5-star reads. However, I also read from a large variety of genres. I also read fantasy romance, which the last couple of years has been my most read genre. I just don't think I'd ever pick it as my only genre because I do think I'd get bored of just reading that like back to back. Then I also read romance, sci-fi, mystery, a little sprinkle of horror, a tiny little sprinkle of contemporary, or at least that's what it's looking like this year, and honestly is what it's looked like the last couple of years. I also really love non-fiction. I don't read as much as I would like, but I've been getting better at reading more and more non-fiction, and I love non-fiction, especially like political non-fiction, social non-fiction, also like non-fictions that are about animals and human life and that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think there's one genre I gravitate towards, but I do think I have favourites, and that would be fantasy. And if I could only pick one type to read, it would be just fantasy. But I think I'd find it very difficult. I like reading from a range, and I like reading what I fancy, basically. Question number 5. Do you generally prefer character-driven or plot-driven stories? Honestly, I need both most of the time. I really do. I need both. Like, if I really had to choose, really had to choose, I'd have to say plot. I would have to say plot if I had to choose, but my ideal would be both. If I love the plot of a book, I can ignore bad characters or unlikable characters or annoying characters, and like, I can make it work. But if I'm reading a book where I love the characters and the plot is bad, or there's no plot, I can't ignore that. Yeah, it will bother me enough that like I probably won't make it through many books that don't have good plot. So ideally I need both, but if I could only pick one, if I really had to, I think plot is more important to me. But I think to love a book, I need both. But like to like a book, I could just have plot, but to love, both of them. Question number 6. What's a book you love so much that you don't care if others don't like it? What's the one book you love enough for everyone? I don't know. I'm a little bit protective over my books and the books that I read and the books that I love. I don't think there's any books that I like love and are major like 5 stars, like can't be beaten sort of books that like are unpopular or that are like widely disliked. So I've never really experienced that part of it. I guess like if everyone around me hated a book, like you hate a book, everyone around me hates this book, but in my eyes it will always be books that I love. It will always be a favourite. That would have to be a series. It is an entire series, but that would have to be the Lady of Darkness series. Like everyone around me could hate it and I love it. Like it could be the popular opinion to hate this series and to not like it, and I would still love it. It would still be perfection for me. This has been my favourite series since I first finished it in like September September 2023, I think was when I first finished it. Started reading it in early 2023, read it super quickly, absolutely loved it, and honestly since then it has not been beat in my eyes. Like, it is the perfect series. There is nothing I would change about it. This series made me feel absolutely everything. Like, there is no emotion, no feeling possible that this series did not make me feel at some point. So yeah, like, in my eyes it can't be beaten, and it wouldn't matter what others thought. Hopefully that works for this question. Question number 7. What's a book you love so much that if someone doesn't like it, you know your reading tastes don't align? The book or books where a difference of opinion is a strong indicator of different reading preferences. Again, a difficult question. I don't think there is any one book. I would say I have a handful of books that I love. If someone didn't like any out of that handful, then we probably won't align on it. I don't think I can get down to one, but I reckon there's like a pile I could put together, and like if you don't like any of them, then we're probably not going to align at all. I would say the HMRC series, Legends and Lattes. Obviously Lady of Darkness, I've already mentioned that one in the previous question. I want to say The Crown of Oaths and Curses as well in that pile, but I would understand if people's opinion of that one had changed after reading the second book, because you might no longer have positive thoughts on the first one after reading the second, and I understand that, so like, that's a maybe. Wayward Children is an amazing series. Yeah, I'd say if none of those books, which hopefully I'll put on the screen, align, if you don't like any of those, then Our Taste in Fantasy probably won't align. Our Taste in Fantasy, obviously, like, I'm just looking, this is like my fantasy, sci-fi, all-encompassing kind of those genres shelves behind me that I've looked at. If I looked at my shelves behind my door where every other genre lies, it would probably be very different. I have a lot of 5-star reads in other genres, so yeah, it would be different if I wasn't just picking that. So I'd say these books, which are hopefully on the screen right now, if none of those align, like, these are books that I love, if all of these books you don't like, then our fantasy tastes probably won't align together. So yeah. Question number 8. What's in your trash pocket? What books, tropes or themes that you know are bad but you love them anyway? Again, I don't know with this question, but for like different reasons. Like, I'm very okay saying that I like cringy things. Like, I'm very okay being a lover of cringe. There's definitely some silly romance books that I love that I'm sure people would say are trash. So what I've done for this question is I've messaged my partner, who isn't a bookish world person. Like, that he reads, but he's not a part of like the online bookish space, and I asked him what tropes do I like, basically, that he thinks are funny, and this is what he said. So we've got one bed, which, yeah, he does ask that every time. Is it trash? I don't know, I eat that shit up, so I don't know, that's something that I wouldn't class that as trash, but maybe it is. And then Grumpy Sunshine, which again, I don't know if it's trash. I think it's pretty normal, but every time I tell him that a book is Grumpy Sunshine, he's always like, oh, it's like Shrek and Ducky, and it does ruin the vibe. And then he also said enemies to lovers, which is one of my favourite tropes, so I don't know, are they trash? You could decide. Question number 9. Do you have any deal breakers in books? Something that, if present, immediately turns you off from the book? So I would say pregnancy is a deal breaker for me. Don't want to read about it. It's boring. It's annoying. I just, no. It is a full-on no. And then kind of like a deal breaker, but there's a couple of exceptions, and definitely something that used to be a complete deal breaker, is kids in a book. I have found that if books are later on in a series, I can deal with the kids and it is okay, but when it comes to picking up like a new book or a new series, I won't pick it up if there are kids in it. Again, just because, like, super annoying, I don't want to read about it. Like, I don't really want to read about them. So yeah, I will say, like, I have found exceptions to this rule, which is why it's not a complete deal breaker. Saga is an amazing graphic novel series that has a kid in it as like the main like thing. Like, the child is narrating a backstory. And I absolutely love that series. It definitely isn't 100%. And then also there's a book called Zapshot, which is the third book in a romance series, and I was already connected to the characters from like books 1 and 2, so even though book 3 had a kid in it, I picked it up and I absolutely ended up loving it. So yeah, definitely are exceptions. I'm slightly less confident about kids being a complete deal breaker, but like I'd rather not still. So they're like a kind of deal breaker. I have to seriously consider a book on what else it's got going for it if there are kids in it, so still a kind of deal breaker. Question number 10. What's a strong opinion you have about a book released within the last year? Whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a take you need to share. So I've read 18 2025 releases so far this year, and honestly I could talk about any of the 3 like 5-star reads that I've had out of those at length, but I guess the most surprising one for me is Hat Trick, because for the first time ever I found a 5-star romance book. I've had a lot of 4s, 4.5s, ones that like if I gave 0.25 ratings to would have been 4.75, and they just weren't quite 5-star. So to get my first 5-star romance this year has been really cool. And before reading that book, before finishing it, I couldn't quite put my finger on what I needed in a book to make it 5 stars. Like when I read fantasy, when I read sci-fi, when I read fantasy romance, like I know a 5-star feeling. But up until finishing Hat Trick, which was only last month I believe, I didn't know for sure what it would take for a romance book to feel like 5 stars. I now feel like I know what that feeling is as well, so like I also know what I'm looking out for in the future. I guess it's kind of underrated. Like a lot of people I like follow online who read primarily romance have read it and really enjoyed it, and like it's not underrated in like specifically the romance or sports romance sphere online, but I think in general it's quite underrated. Like I've never seen it in stores, I've never really seen any of the series in the store, so yeah, like it's kind of underrated. Like I don't know, I struggle to say it's underrated because I do think it is popular. Like if I go on Goodreads right now and I search Hat Trick, it came out on the 27th of May and it's got 15,000 ratings already, so like that's not unpopular, and it's got a really good average rating. Right now it's at 4.34, so it's not unpopular, it's not underrated, but I would say yeah, like it's one that not everyone's talking about, I guess, which normally when a book feels like how this book made me feel, it is usually a book with a lot of hype. So yeah, that's the best I can answer it. Question number 11. What do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? Is it prose style, themes, voice, structure, or something else? Honestly, nothing. I am not looking for anything particular when it comes to the writing of a book. I'm not a writing snob. Anything goes for me really. I either like it or I don't. I guess everything to do with writing, everything that I would pick up on when reading a book, flow is very important. Like, does it flow naturally? Do I find myself stuttering through words, through sentences that don't quite make sense, that sort of thing. Like if a book has a nice flow to it, then that's like, you know, perfect, amazing, okay. If it doesn't, can definitely make me not like it so much, but only overall I'm really happy with any style of writing as long as it works with the story being told. It is good for me. Question number 12. How do you decide what to read next? Do you plan ahead, mood read, or follow external factors, hype, recommendations, arcs? So if you've been around this channel for a little while, you'll know that I do monthly TBRs where I play a TBR game that gives me prompts and I find books to fulfill those prompts. There normally ends up being around 5 books in that like official monthly TBR, which are the books that I'm really trying to prioritise throughout the month. I do mood read a little bit. Like definitely sometimes I'll just find myself in a particular mood for a particular genre or a particular author, and I am happy to just like scrap things and go with that. Like reading is meant to be enjoyable, so I will just go with that. And then I also often forget to include a book in the official TBR that I've planned for video, so often I'll pick which books to read based on kind of like a theme, like whatever theme a video I'm trying to do is. So for instance, like if I was trying to finish as many series as possible in a week, like I'd only be picking books for that entire week to read that are the end of series, stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. Like I think, you know, official TBRs, bit of mood reading, going with my gut, and reading vlog ideas, basically how I pick what to read, but I'll just go with it. I will just go with it. Question number 13. Where do you get inspiration for your booktube content? What sparks your video ideas, other creators, trends, personal reading experiences? Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I am not feeling particularly inspired at the moment. I've definitely been thinking a lot about what I want to be making, what's going to be most fun for me, like what I want to do, because I am finding myself just not very inspired and not really caring as much as I want to or as I used to. And I don't think it's burnout. I haven't changed anything yet, because like in the back of my mind I'm like, is it burnout? But I have just been away for an entire weekend and like thought nothing at all to do with any online anything, and like I'm not more inspired after that. So I don't think it's burnout. I do think I am ready to revamp things up. So I do love a few of the videos that I make that are like monthly staples or quarterly staples. The main one of that being my TBR video. I play my Snakes and Ladders TBR every single month, and I don't think I feel particularly inspired by anyone else to do that anymore. I just think making that video and picking out a TBR that way is quite inspiring for me in my reading, which obviously influences what videos I make. However, when I started my TBR game like 2.5-3 years ago now, before I made my own, I did do a like video concept where I tried other people's TBR games to find what aspects I found fun, what aspects I didn't, what I wanted to incorporate into my own. So I kind of link that playlist up above. It's a few years old now, not guaranteeing quality, but I did try 5 or 6 people's TBR games, and that definitely inspired my own, which is now like a massive video that I make every month and I absolutely love. Then I do have one like video series, I guess I'd call it, that is going to come out very soon, or at least the first episode of it will come out very soon. It is a new reading vlog, and it is to do with the r/fantasy bingo board that comes out every year. And although like the vlog concept and doing that is my own idea, I would not have ever even found out about the r/fantasy bingo board if it was not for people making TBR videos every year, which is also something that I do myself now as well. Like once a year I'll sit down and make a TBR for it. So yeah, like that's definitely, you know, those things I am genuinely excited about. However, I am thinking of changing up my content a little bit. Don't know exactly what yet. I do need to sit down and have a proper think about it. I'm currently learning, or well, I say currently learning, I've got it on the computer. I haven't really put much time into it yet, but I want to learn a new editing software. I would love to be able to do doodles in my videos, like how Alison Pages used to do in her videos. Like there was always like doodles across the screen and stuff going on. And then I don't know if I'd call it doodling, it's more like a writing, but Katie's reading does like incorporate writing into her videos, and I'd love to be able to incorporate something like that into mine. So those are like two things kind of like stylistically, like the doodles and the writing, that I would like to incorporate, but I can't do it on the software I'm using currently. Maybe by the end of this year I will be confident in a new software and be incorporating that. And then the other thing I've been thinking about is maybe doing the occasional long form content when it comes to my videos. So I really enjoy thinking and talking in real life about like something bookish that's going on, or a bookish theme or something like that. So a couple of people who make kind of like more long form conversational but also informational videos on this sort of thing that I personally watch are Lexi, aka Newly Nova, and also the Book Leo. So they're both people that I've like watched and enjoyed that type of video, and definitely makes me think like, oh, like maybe I would enjoy making something like that myself. But to be honest, I'm gonna have a check-in with myself very soon and kind of try and figure this out, because I'm not feeling particularly inspired. Question number 14. If you could make any book go viral right now, what would it be? A book you think deserves more attention, and why? I mean, I've just very recently read A Kingdom of Shadow and Ash last month, which just came out. Absolutely amazing fantasy romance. And when it came out, I was very surprised that it didn't blow up as much as a lot of the like new fantasy romances are blowing up right now. If you like fantasy romance and haven't given it a go, like I honestly think it's really good. Like it was a 5-star from me. Obviously I could read you the synopsis, tell you what the book's about. You can also, I'll link it down below in the description, you can go on Goodreads or whatever website you use to read that. I think honestly the thing that will hook people into this is if when you read the Throne of Glass series you wished that Manon was the main character, and like that's the sort of main character you want to follow and want to see, like that sort of vibes, then This one, read it for the female main character. Read it for her, because I think she's very man encoded and is definitely giving that kind of like badass female vibes. And yeah, I'm very surprised that this book is not bigger than it is. Okay, ran out of space before filming the last question. Hopefully I've deleted enough videos that I can record this now. So question number 15, who are some booktubers with reading tastes similar to yours? In terms of fantasy, I haven't found anyone that's like exactly the same as me. Like I haven't found anyone that like I'm 100% confident in, like if they read and love, like that will be for me. However, I found people where if they give a book even like 4 stars, I should give it a go, because it could be for me. And those people are Becca and the Books, Covers with Cassidy, Mariana Moore, Beautifully Bookish Bethany, and Books with Vish. Those are kind of like the 5 that I like keep an eye on their Goodreads, and if they give a book 4 stars or higher, it will seriously impact whether I want to pick it up or not. Yeah, so those 5. Hopefully I've managed to put them all on the screen. But yeah, those are the 5 that I don't think it's the exact same reading taste. Like it's definitely not perfect. Like there's definitely books that I've hated that they've loved, and books that they've loved that I've hated. Did I say that the same way twice? You know what I mean. It's definitely not perfect, but it's similar enough that it does impact if I want to read a book, at least in terms of fantasy and fantasy romance, by those 5 creators. So yeah, that is it. Those are all of the questions. I really enjoyed this tag and I feel very accomplished that I've done it so early into it being out and a thing. This tag only came out 3 months ago. So feeling very on top of it. If there's any other tags that you'd like to see me do, please let me know in the comments. And of course I'll link the creators of this tag in the description of the video, so you can find them and their videos very easily. But that is it from me. That is it. I do really hope you enjoyed the video. Please do give it a like if you did like it. Subscribe down below to see more content like this, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.